Speaking of Timmins is proud to present our 2014 Candidates for Council interview series. Well, welcome everybody to Speaking of Timmins. Our guest today is candidate in Ward 5 for the 2014 municipal elections on October 27th, Jason Boissonneault. Jason, how are you today?
Not too bad, Frank. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to run for council in 2014?
All right. Well, I am a Timmins boy at heart, born and raised Timmins, Ontario, Ward 5. I currently work at Commerce Management Group, where I am a small business coordinator, where I administer the Ontario Employment Benefit Program, where I help individuals start small businesses in Timmins. So really into that. Educational background, I attended the Cameron College in Sudbury, where I got my accounting diploma, and University of Windsor, where I received my Bachelor of Commerce. Right after that, throughout school, I was a Ontario firefighter for roughly 6 years, where I fought fire across Northern Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec. I was on the large Timmins 9 fire. I was just a couple kilometers from town back in 2012. That's a bit about my background and why did I decide to run for Timmins Council. Well, essentially, after finishing school, I looked around and decided, okay, where do I want to do? What do I want to do? Where do I want to move to? And really, I couldn't think of anywhere else but Timmins. I grew up, lived here my whole life, played hockey here. We've been on different boards, like the South Cochrane District Center, on the chamber committee or policy committee board, and on the Timmins Film Society. Again, I've always had fun in Timmins, and pretty well decided, this is where I want to start my family, where I want my future to be, is somewhere like Timmins. So pretty well said, you know what? Well, if I'm going to move here, I want to make sure that I have a bit of control over my destiny, but also I want to make sure that this is somewhere where I will want to live in, and other potential people might want to move to. And unfortunately, I personally find there's been some decisions made and some just a bit of the direction we've been going in the city haven't been very welcoming and very open to new potential residents. And I figured, you know what? Let's bring my background and my experience to the forefront, and let's see if I can help out a bit.
What do you believe should be the top 2 or 3 priorities for the new council?
I'll think of 2. I'll go with 2 first. First is council has to pretty well find a way to eliminate and slow the continual rise in property taxes. And I believe the issue with this is, and what they need to do to stop this, is to stop the overruns on the large capital projects. Stuff like the water treatment plant, which originally was supposed to be $60 million, and now it's getting closer to the $80 million and up. And I guarantee you it's probably going to keep going up. Stuff like the DSAB building that went over budget. Large, road projects like Toke Street, which was supposed to be roughly a 6-week project, and that took, 4 months. So we have these large capital projects that keep going way over budget, and they don't allow the city to actually start focusing on lowering the property taxes, because we need that revenue to pay these continually rising projects. So we keep having added on debt payments onto our property taxes that we have to, that the residents and the commercial industry has to, or sectors have to bear. So essentially, I think that's the number one thing. We have to fix those problems. And how do you fix them? Is it, we have to assess with their city hall and department heads, and just all the departments across the board. Are the problems on large capital projects going way over budget? Is the problem falling in the hands of, or on the hands of, department heads? Is it lack of oversight on job sites? Is it lack of management oversight just in the departments? Is it growth in confidence among the department heads or management? I'll tell you now, I don't have the answers. I have a feeling it might be a couple of those issues that are playing a factor. We have to fix those and have to hold someone accountable, and actually hold council accountable for these overruns. Until we fix those, we can't lower taxes. A lot of people want to say let's just cut services, but those services are desperately needed by many individuals in the area. We have seniors, we have people with mobility and disability issues, and people with very defined incomes who can't pretty well get by and survive without some of these services. So we can't just go around and start cutting services just to lower taxes. We have to actually find the reason why these taxes are going up. And I find that just the cutting of services is just a band-aid solution and not actually finding the systemic problem that is causing our taxes to go up. Number two on a thing that I think the city needs to do is focus on economic development. We have to really focus on creating new jobs to this area. New jobs in this area, so we have to pretty well work on getting new commercial and new high volume employers to come to Timmins. This, it's not as easily said and done, but essentially what we need to do is empower council and also the TEDC to go out and attract new businesses, new employers to Timmins by offering them incentives. And I always think about the example of North Bay. They attracted some large volume employers to the area by offering them 5 years tax-free property tax incentives for the business. And I know it seems a little counterproductive. It's like, okay, well, for 5 years you don't receive any property tax, but this was done back in 1996, and those companies are still there. So set agreements with them where they have 5 years property tax or free or less than property taxes. So these people move here, they set up shop. 5 years later, they start paying property taxes, but also all their employees who move to Timmins, they start paying property taxes on their homes. This way we have more people paying into the pot, and it just makes it easier for everyone else. It lessens the burden of taxes on the current residents right now when we have more people here paying. So essentially, it's like going out for supper with 10 friends. If 5 of you are splitting the bill, it's kind of hard on those 5 people. But if you have 8 or 9 people splitting that bill, it's a lot easier on a per person and individual basis. So what we have to do is looking at creating new jobs by expanding the tax base, by looking at economic development, because that's the only way we can actually lower property taxes across the board. The only way to lower taxes by increasing revenue into the city so we can have actually more people paying into the pot. Once again, that's a way to fix the continual rising in taxes by having more people coming in and paying taxes, and it's actually the only way to really lower taxes. A lot of people come up with their ideas on we should look at selling this, selling that. We should look at privatizing or making the hydro industry public, selling off arenas. Those do not actually help lower the taxes. They're just a band-aid solution. But the only way to actually lower taxes is by creating new jobs, and that's what I want to do.
If elected, what priority would you like to see addressed in Ward 5 specifically?
Ward 5 specific. That's a tough one. Ward 5, as we know, encompasses a lot of area. Is both a residential and a commercial ward. A lot of businesses, downtown core, all within the BIA and the rest of the downtown area. What's the number one issue? Well, honestly, and unfortunately, I don't think it's very specific to Ward 5, but one of the number one issues is infrastructure. The infrastructure in the area, you see roads crumbling. You drive on to the corner of Lausanne and Monaghan. This thing has been repaved 7, 8, 9 times, and its holes keep popping up no matter what. So without proper infrastructure, we're going to have a hard time attracting people to move to the ward, and have a hard time attracting businesses to look to go downtown when infrastructure issues are continually happening. When we have underground, the wiring of the underground power keeps getting ripped down, or has been worked on for how long, and it's supposed to be done before the end of the summer, and now we have these beautiful wooden covers on them now because they didn't get done on time. What we need to do is really look at holding contractors accountable so we can get a lot of this work done. Also, we have to look at, once again, get management and department heads on board so we can make sure we get infrastructure needs addressed early and quick so we don't keep working on the same projects nonstop. Essentially, do it right the first time instead of going back and fixing stuff the next year and the year after. We have to be willing to spend money in order to save money.
Many candidates and taxpayers in this campaign have spoken about this being an election of change. What changes would you like to see on council and at City Hall?
Well, I would say the main change I would like to see and what I would like to implement is having a bit more of a collaborative council, a council that's looking at the concerns, questions, and ideas of the community. I'm not going to pretend and say like I know everything. I don't know. I'm not Johnny Know-It-All. I need and want people's input. So I think we should look at creating some type of system where individuals can give their ideas and be a bit more open instead of just having a council where you'd have to pretty well apply to get a moment with council to speak to them. We have to figure out a way to get their stuff earlier. It could be through online means, it could be through some type of forum on the Timmins website, but I want to be more collaborative where we take people's actual concerns and thoughts and putting them forward instead of making decisions without taking the thoughts and needs of the people into play. And I think that would be one of the main things. It would be a bit more collaborative.
Ward 5 includes the downtown core, and many business people operating in that part of town are wondering what the new council will try to do to increase the amount of traffic in the downtown core.
All right, yeah, that is actually a really good question. I think it's multiple fold. I think there's a couple things that need to be addressed to increase businesses and increase traffic in the downtown core. One issue I say would be parking needs. Some individuals have mentioned that the parking is a big issue to them downtown. Unfortunately, I believe that that shouldn't be something put upon the city. I believe that is something that a private developer or investor should take on. I believe when it comes to parking, the city can look at maybe providing some land incentives and tax incentives to an individual who might want to build a parking structure. This way we can have increased parking downtown by many folds, where we can have many more people parking downtown within a close area. So I think that's one big thing that can be done, and when people know that there's somewhere to park downtown or extra places to park downtown, it might be a bit more accommodating to people to go shop downtown. To increase businesses, well, until really we fix the large, continually increasing property taxes for the commercial sector and residential sectors as well, we're going to have a hard time attracting people to downtown, mainly because if you look at the rental rates in the stores downtown, you're looking at, for 800 square feet, you're looking at $2,000 and up easily. That is very difficult for small businesses to survive, especially if you're just a mom and pop store or a small retail store. That means you have to sell $2,000 of inventory simply to cover rent. So the idea that, if we just make it a little bit nicer downtown or just increase a bit of parking, doesn't really fix that issue where people are paying huge amounts of rent. What can the city really do to fix that? Well, it's pretty well working with commercial landowners and trying to figure out a way to either offer lower taxes or offer lower rent, or somehow setting up a program where we can work with first-year business owners to maybe give them rent, help, where we can maybe give them a little bit lower rental rates for the first year of operations, just so they can get their feet on the ground and actually start up. I think there's a lot of business to be had downtown. You're looking at thousands of people who actually have their offices downtown. So you have the market there already for places like restaurants, retailers and whatnot, coffee shops. You have a market there ready to support a downtown vibrant business community, but we just have to find a way to attract the people to open that business, because the risk of taking on a 2-3 year lease downtown is unfortunately way too high for a lot of small businesses. And like I said before, what I do for a living is I help people start small businesses. And one of the main issues they've all told me is, they would love to be downtown, but it's insanely expensive. You can't take on a small business with that huge rental above your head. It's just huge overhead. You can't have that there and actually try to start a little business on your being a new business owner. So really try to create some type of agreement with developers, or try to create some type of tax incentive or rent incentive for first-time business owners.
Now it's time for our rapid fire questions, where we get to know the candidates a little better outside of their political opinions. What 3 living individuals that you have never met would you like to go out for dinner with?
Mario Lemieux, my favorite hockey player of all time. Also, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time. And I think just for the comedic factor, an individual like Jim Carrey, someone funny. At least I'd be able to talk hockey with some guys and turn around and laugh about whatever Jim Carrey would be doing at that moment.
What book should every person read in their lifetime?
Well, I'm a little bit of a political enthusiast. I like some of the politics stuff. I really think if people want a better understanding of current American politics and kind of just what's happening there, because it's very hard to understand. The book America by Jon Stewart, you read, and for a guy who likes his comedy, I think everyone should check that book out.
What has been your favorite travel destination?
Favorite travel destination? I really enjoyed the kind of the smaller areas in southwestern Ontario, the places like Leamington, Tillsonburg, stuff like that, where you get to, you're close to the lake. You're right on Lake Erie, I believe. You have the lake right there. You have beautiful farms. People are always having open markets. I just love that feeling. I love the idea of just being able to go to the beach and just walking down some of these little downtown corners that have just these beautiful markets going on. And I've always enjoyed going down there. I love having just that a small town feel. So I really enjoy Southwest Ontario. I think it's people look past it too quickly, and I think there's a lot that they offer down there.
What 1 or 2 items would people be surprised to see on your bucket list?
On my bucket list, surprised to see. Honestly, one thing is when I retire, a lot of people do not think of this when they know, if they know me. I was a hockey guy growing up. I enjoy hunting, but was always kind of a political guy. But I really, when I retire and kind of take it easy, I want to have a farm. And people would be really surprised. They wouldn't think that I'd be the guy who would have a farm or a little hobby farm. But I think on my bucket list is to eventually buy myself a little farm.
And that concludes this episode of the 2014 Candidates for Council interview series presented by Speaking of Timmins.